and returned to pre-pandemic levels earlier this year. Cargo conversions also gave a boost to another segment of aviation, the maintenance, repair and overhaul, or MRO sector.
What we saw was a significant reduction in cargo carriage capacity because cargo that used to be carried by passenger aircraft in the bellies, and when these passenger aircraft do not fly, then there is a shortage of cargo capacity. So what we've done is to expand on our passenger to freighter conversion solutions in providing options for customers to convert passenger aircraft to cargo aircraft and thereby to meet the market needs. So interestingly, last year we saw most of the airlines lost money, but the airlines that made money were very few, and they were the ones who had a significant fleet of cargo aircraft.
However, this was a temporary respite, and ST Engineering says the MRO sector remains very far from where it was pre-pandemic.
What we've seen is a huge decrease in the volume of work. So it's been extremely challenging from a business perspective on how to manage that huge drop in workload, how to manage the resources you have, and then how to look for new solutions for customers, and then how to adopt all that digital technology that's transforming the world.
One thing that all the experts agree on is that the best way to get borders open again and get passengers in the air is to ensure that people get vaccinated. And that's one thing that Changi Airport Group recognized early on.
What we have done is that we have opened up Singapore's largest vaccination center at Terminal 4. To date, we have 90% of the airport community, frontline community, being vaccinated. Another thing that we have done is to also develop several on-site swabbing facilities. Today, we have the capability of swabbing. So we have also set up facilities to swab up to 10,000 passengers a day. So on top of that, we are also developing trials to test for COVID using breath analyzers, and this will enable us to test for the virus in a much faster time than the usual PCR test.
But even when vaccinations become widespread, experts agree that the aviation sector will be forever changed by the pandemic.
The way passengers travel will definitely differ. One of the things we have done earlier on in the COVID journey is to enhance contactless travel. And this has been welcomed by our passengers because today they can travel literally not touching any of the hardware at the airport.
You know, we've been trying as an industry for 10 years to really requesting security authorities to move away from paper documentation to digital virtual documentation. And we weren't really getting anywhere. But with the priority of health, even the security authorities don't really want to be taking a paper document from somebody that might potentially be transmitting.
This has actually focused everyone's attention on perhaps making it a smoother, more efficient process, using modern technology to take people's biometric information from their passport, match it to their travel information from their itinerary, match it to their visa status or requirements for where they're travelling to, match it to their testing and vaccination if necessary for COVID, and bringing it all together in a seamless way so that potentially someone can go from taxi cab at the drop-off point to aircraft seat without having to show so many documents or perhaps even any documents during the process.
Pandemic transformations that will change travel for the better, the winners and losers of the global semiconductor shortage, and the road ahead for China's tech titans as Beijing tightens controls on the sector. This has been Money Mind.
American, Korean, and Taiwanese fried chicken. We love them all. But how do they stack up in terms of MSG, sodium, and fat levels?
Fat alone is like 20% of our normal intake.
I put my health on the line again to find out what exactly our love for fried chicken is doing to us. Talking Point, tonight on CNA.
I long to visit the other side of the Korean border. It's not about unification. It is more about reuniting Koreans cruelly separated by politics and ideology. Lim Yang-suk, CNA, Seoul.
CNA Leadership Summit. Presenting partner, Daikin. Climate change, one of the most urgent challenges we face today. Join us on a discussion for a green recovery plan. Hear sustainable strategies from policymakers on paving a way forward. Find out more about the impact that collective action can bring in the years to come. Understand from experts how private and public sectors can collaborate for a more sustainable economy. Gain insights on what business leaders can do to harness green financing, investments, and technologies to shape our recovery plan. Learn how institutions can work together to achieve compliance, accountability, and ethical disclosure. CNA Leadership Summit 2021, coming to you this April. Organised by MediaCorp. Official car partner, BMW. Official partner, RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. Breaking news.
Chanting for Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha to step down.
We will be seeing sporadic protests flare up from time and time again.
Key developments.
37th ASEAN Summit.
Live events. Analysis and perspectives.
We will really be seeing vaccines soon. Imports, which were expected to grow slightly, contracted 2.1%.
News that matters. Asia Now, daily. On CNA. This is Asia Now.
It's 6 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 3:30 in New Delhi, and 5 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Angela Lim. At this hour, India logs its deadliest day of the pandemic with 1,500 deaths in a single day. It also records its biggest daily surge in cases. Hong Kong mulls tighter quarantine and travel measures after detecting its first mutant COVID-19 strain in the community. And New Zealand and Australia are set to open their borders to each other as their COVID-19 situations ease. India sees the deadliest day of the pandemic, with over 1,500 deaths recorded in the last 24 hours. The country has also recorded the biggest daily spike in cases, with 261,000 infections, and that takes India's total caseload to nearly 14.8 million cases. 16 states and union territories are reporting a surge in daily new cases. Maharashtra has reported the highest new daily infections in the country. Uttar Pradesh and Delhi are the second and third worst hit areas. India's new wave of infections is thought to be fueled by more contagious COVID-19 variants. It's grappling with a severe shortage of hospital beds, oxygen supplies, and critical medicines like remdesivir. States and cities are imposing new restrictions. The capital region, home to 19 million people, has imposed weekend and nighttime curfews. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a high-level meeting to review the surge yesterday. He pledged to fight the spread with even greater speed and coordination. Mr. Modi also asked authorities to pull out all stops to ramp up the production of COVID-19 vaccines. Hong Kong is assessing whether to impose tighter travel and hotel quarantine measures. That's after a man who returned from Dubai tested positive for a highly infectious COVID-19 variant days after completing his 3-week quarantine. Authorities had earlier tightened measures to reduce the risk of importing mutant COVID-19 strains from very high-risk places.
Starting from the 14th of April, we have already strengthened